Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Check it out. It's the Obtain Seafly, a little Mavic Pro replica drone. Looks very similar, probably one of the most similar to the Mavic Pro I've seen as far as a copy goes, with supposedly a lot of the same functions, but we're going to see how this thing performs. It is definitely cheaper than the Mavic Pro, so the cost would be at least half the price, and we're going to see if it has half the capability in this review. So anyway, let's get started with the Obtain Seafly and see what it's all about. Okay, so as you can see, the box, it just has the picture of it all extended. The arms do fold out just like the Mavic Pro. On the other side, there's really nothing else to see on the box, so I'm not even going to bother much with it here. It does have a kind of a DJI-esque packaging here. You can see how we have this handle that kind of pulls out. It's kind of hinged here. So they're even kind of copying the box of DJI drones, but that's kind of where it ends. I've just opened this once to look at it, the top of the box. So this is the first time I'm really digging into it. But there's a piece of foam there, and then we have the controller here. We'll go over everything in just a second. I just want to pull everything out. Looks like a charging brick. Here's the battery. Okay, it does have a little indicator there. Just press the button. Our wall plug. And we have a little tiny manual here. Definitely a lot smaller than the DJI manuals, isn't it? That thing's tiny. We have two extra propellers, so not a full set, but there are two that do fold up. We have an adapter for China or Asia Euro, if you're in those countries. We have a micro USB cable. And then we have a battery, looks like possibly for the controller. There's a couple of little contacts here that look like that's gonna charge. And here's the quad itself. So as you can see, it definitely, this packaging standard is not DJI really packaging. I think that's everything in the box. Yeah, there's nothing else in the bottom. So I'm gonna put this box on the side. Gosh, it does look like a Mavic Pro, doesn't it? Almost exactly. It's just the shape up top here is a little different. They even have the gold striping banding on the arms and everything. I can tell you right now that it does feel quite a bit more plasticky and chintzy. You know, less quality than the original Mavic Pro. But since we are comparing it to the Mavic Pro, let me go ahead and grab that so we can really have a comparison view. Okay guys, so I did go and get the Mavic Pro here, and here is the authentic DJI Mavic Pro. You can see how it's very similar. Let's go ahead and see it from the side. Just a couple of comparison views. From the side, you can see how the Mavic Pro is definitely smaller. It's a little bit smaller and more compact. And to be honest, just the feeling of this, it just does feel like it's almost kind of like a toy, but it's supposed to have GPS and everything. So hopefully it performs fairly well. But anyway, that's it there. That's a side shot of it. Let's see underneath shot of the two. There's both of them from the underneath. You can see how it is longer and also a little bit wider and also a little bit taller. So all the way around, here's the back. The battery's not in it yet, but there we go. Back shot. Very similar though, isn't it? Quite a bit wider in the front. You can see how the front is very wide here, and this is pretty narrow on the Mavic. Very similar yet different. And we're also going to extend. Let me put the Mavic Pro on the side for a second. And let's open this thing up and just see how this thing kind of extends and everything. So do we want to do, looks like we want to do front arms first. And then same way, wow, very similar. The back goes out, but the difference is, look at this. This has to go out this way a little bit. With the Mavics, it just kind of all opens up in one motion. This one goes out, down and out, and then open to the side. We can see how the propellers are definitely collapsible. They just fold out, very similar to how the Mavic is. Let's compare this to the Mavic again. So here's the Mavic, same deal, folds out. I do have the platinum propellers on here for a little bit more quieter operation. They actually look like they might be just about the same size if you kind of put them side by side. They do kind of have the same width and everything. Man, they're making them look so similar, like the copy of the motor. Look at the design of the motor even. If I bring these both up close to the camera, they are a little bit larger than the Mavic Pro motors, but they've got the shape down almost perfectly. Anyway, here's the camera. We're gonna take this thing. This looks like a little guard. Not really that snapping in that great, but it will protect it. It's just kind of loose on here. You can see how that is going like that. Then you push these clamps up to unclamp it. And here it is, the little camera here. Looks very similar to the Mavic. We'll compare them in just a second. We do have some little protective film on the camera lens. So there's our camera. It is a 3-axis gimbal. So very similar to what the Mavic Pro comes with. And it is very small. We'll have to see how this thing performs. And you can see how it's dampened there. And then we have our pitch, our roll, and our yaw dampening as well. So pretty good for such a cheap little thing. And we can see the intake here. If we look at the bottom, you see the grill there. That's where it's going to be intaking air into the craft. On the top sides, we see some venting here in as well. This is supposed to have GPS and everything. We have a power button on top, some more graphics on the top. There's a light here in the back. There's also a micro USB port, and it looks like a little reset port there. That's the battery bay, and speaking of the battery, here it is. And it's a lithium 3800 11.1 volt. So this is not a high voltage battery at all. It's just a plain Jane 3800 11.1. I like how it does have the battery level there. You press that button. You just want the power button to be on top there, and then pushing it in like this. Looks like you don't want to just push it in. You want to pull these clamps in, these tabs, push them in, and then that locks in. It seems like it's locked in there pretty sturdy actually. It's actually feeling around the same weight, if not a little bit lighter than the Mavic Pro. And if we look at the cameras both close up here and just compare them, you can see that this one is still quite a bit larger than the small form factor of here. They're really compacting everything in with the Mavic Pro right here. You can see that's the full gimbal there, and then this one's quite a bit wider. And it also sticks out quite a bit more. So still quite a bit bigger than the Mavic Pro footprint here, but we'll have to be seeing how this performs. Anyway, I'm gonna put this guy on the side and let's see what else we got in the box. Sorry it took so long to get to this stuff, but here's the controller. Looks like we have this fold up clamp for our phone. Not sure if we're gonna be fitting a tablet in here. No, so a little bit of a limitation on this one is it looks like you're just gonna be fitting in up to like a 6-inch phone around there. Then we just have our plain Jane monopole antennas, it looks like, for our Wi-Fi. They can rotate. They can't go to the right at all, right and left. They're stuck there. They can go straight out. They can go up that far, and then they can rotate in for, I guess, storage. And that's all they can do. We've got switches on here with no labeling. 2 switches. There and there. We've got some buttons here. This looks like a landing or return to home button. See up and down, and there's a home insignia there. And then we have pictures and video there, and there's our sticks. So similar looking top of the thumbsticks as the Mavic. Definitely the quality here this is where we're seeing the lack of quality compared to a DJI product. This just feels really light and very plasticky. There's no rubber on it. It does have some grip on the sides here. Oh, there's also 2 switches up here. So we have SP and A mode there. So that's a 3-way switch up here. And then we have a 2-way switch here. And we do have a roller. There's no roller on the right, but there is on the left. And that looks like that's probably going to be our camera pitch. Spinning it over to the back, we see we have some C-Fly writing there. If we pop open this, yeah, so that looks like where this rechargeable battery is going to go. So I kind of like how they give you a rechargeable battery for the controller. It looks like it just goes right in like this. Match up those pins on that side and just push the whole thing down and in. And then slide this back. It snaps in really nice and tight. Yeah, that's our power. Let's see on the battery, since I have the charger over here, it looks like it might be a little hard to take the battery out with the legs in, but you can. You just find those little press buttons and press it in. And here's the charging for the battery. So as you can see, the battery has all these pins here, and it can only go on one way. There's a little notch tab there, and it's going to go in right like that. Let's take a quick look at the instruction manual. It is super tiny, diagram of what things do there, showing us the camera. Oh, there is an SD card slot underneath the camera. Okay, didn't even see that. So if we look over here, right there, so see that slot? So somehow you're gonna have to push in an SD card in there for the onboard recording. Okay, and this is a little bit concerning to me. It's saying connect from your phone straight to the drone. So if this is gonna be communicating directly from your phone to the drone and not through the controller, this may be kind of a short range craft. We're definitely going to test that out in the flight test, but as we can see, it looks like it does have a map and a very similar menu to DJI, so that's very interesting. Okay, so you can control it directly from your phone if you wanted to, and it looks like that's what that's for. So this whole initial instruction is just to control it from your phone, and I'm not seeing anything about how to control it from the controller. So we're going to try to set up that right now. We're going to try to power up the controller, and then usually what you want to do if you're using a controller with these guys is you want to have your Wi-Fi connected to the controller, and then the controller is going to connect to the drone. So let's test that out right now. I'm just going to be using the Android LG G6 phone I normally have. I'm going to mount it right in here. Let's see how it mounts up. So just goes into this clamp, clamps down fairly well. You can see that the antennas are super close to the phone, and that's pretty much the only orientation you're going to be able to have them unless you want them straight down. But for flying out from you, it looks like you're going to want to have them in this orientation. Let's turn on the controller. And I'm assuming what we want to do is, since we do have the controllers, we want to connect to the Wi-Fi of the controller first. So we want to go into Wi-Fi, and we're looking for something that says obtain. So I'm just going to wait for a second, let it do a little bit of a search and see if we can find the Wi-Fi from this controller. Okay, so we have two that just popped up. Controller and setting. Let's try to connect to the controller first. Connect. And let's see what it does. So obtaining IP address. Okay, so I waited for a little while and nothing's really happening here on the controller. So I'm going to try this other one. It says setting. I'm going to try that. Connect. And you can see how that one connected right away. So maybe that's the one we have to use. Unfortunately, there's nothing in the instructions. I couldn't even find anything online for this, so I'm just kind of going at this blind. But anyway, that's that. And let's see if we can turn on the craft now. We want to power it up from the top. So we click and hold, I guess. Yes. So we got some high-pitched beeping here. Just want to turn it around there so we can see the gimbal camera. Launch the C-Fly application. And hopefully we'll be able to, let's go ahead and allow everything, allow access to photos and media and all that stuff. Allow write system settings. Okay, on. This permission allows an app to read and write system settings. Yes, so I went ahead and turned that on. I'm gonna go back out here. A little bit scary there, but we'll just try it. Okay, so I went ahead and turned all that stuff on, and this is the model we have. Looks like they have three models. Okay, they have the Dream, the Ruby, which looks kind of like the Dobby. Remember the Dobby drone that I reviewed before? A little mini handheld selfie drone. And we have this one here, which is the Obtain. So let's start flying, pressing it, and let's see what we get. So there is no SD card, and it's saying disconnected. So we are not connected at all. You can see how it's saying disconnected there. So let me try to go out of here, go back into our Wi-Fi. Oh, so it actually went off of the settings and it went back to my home Wi-Fi. So let me try the controller again. Connect. Let's see if it possibly will connect this time. There we go. Okay, so that time it connected. Anyway, let's try to launch it again. C-Fly. Okay, it's on the right model. Let's start flying. There we go. Okay. Warning, the drone is under remote controller control. Okay, so now it knows it's under this. So it looks like that made everything work. No SD card again. And there's our FPV. So as you can see, I'm looking at the phone and the camera and stuff, and that's kind of what our latency is. So that's kind of normal for Wi-Fi drones, a couple hundred milliseconds, a few hundred milliseconds. Awesome. So it says in operation. It's in altitude mode. Looks like this is the switch here that's gonna switch our modes. Let me try and see if it changes. Yeah, position hold and orbit. Okay, interesting. So the S, they kind of have it labeled kind of weird because that all the way the top is S, but that puts it into orbit mode apparently. So I'm gonna switch that back down. We'll leave it in position hold mode. Let's see what this switch does. There's no writing on the switch here, so it's all the way up now. Let's put it down. I'm not seeing anything change whatsoever, so I'm not sure what that's doing. I think this is the return to home button. Yeah, so you hear it beeping now. That's actually coming from the controller, those beeps. So that should be return to home. And then this one, not sure what this does. So we're gonna have to figure out what some of these switches do when we're flying at the park. Unfortunately, I don't have any documentation on this. Let's try to rotate the gimbal down. So if I'm holding this left roller to the left, yeah, okay. So that's working fairly well. It is pretty quick, not super smooth, but it does do the job. Up and down, no problem. You see how high that rotated the camera up. So you can actually overshoot level and see how high you can go. That's interesting. So I'm going to leave it right around level, and let's see how well this gimbal kind of stabilizes. So looking at the FPV here while I move the thing around. So left and right, so it's stabilizing roll very well. Forward and back. Pitch stabilization. Wow, pretty darn good. And let's see what the yaw's like. Okay, so better than I thought it would be on the stabilization on the gimbal, that's for sure. So we have NA on the SD card, of course, because there's not one in there. We have 100% on the craft. The controller signal is still like way down super low, so I'm not sure what's going on there. It looks like we do have 6 satellites in the house here. I expect that to go much higher when we're out there in the field. Okay, we can push settings to bring in or out our camera. We should be able to take our pictures. Right here, we can go to video, start and stop video. Of course, there's no video card in there, but it does still look like it's trying to record video. Anyway, that's how we start and stop our video, and then also, I'm hoping maybe down here it will work when we have a card in. One short press, I'm hearing one beep, that should be pictures. A long press, you hear 2 beeps, so that should be starting and stopping our video camera. Okay, if we go into folder here, let's see what happens. Okay, so if you don't have a card in the craft, it actually does at least cache a screenshot. You see how there's a screenshot there? So it kind of saves a screenshot for you. Local videos, it's also doing the same for video. Okay, that's cool. Preview the video. Yeah, so it's kind of playing back the little video I took, but it looks like it's just recording the screen in the app. So at least you can do that though, that's kind of cool. Let's try to click on the Google map. So I'm clicking on the Google map here. It's saying tips, no waypoint route planning with aircraft under GPS mode. Make sure no obstacles when active waypoint routing planning. Drone is under remote control mode. Yes, I know. Interesting, so we should have some waypoints capabilities here. Let's go into this here and we can go into possibly our map. Nope. Doesn't look like anything's coming up here. We can do either like a draw a waypoint or we can tap for waypoints. We'll try that out in the park. Looks like we can launch here from within the app and also press return to home on the screen as well. There's nothing to really see here. For some reason it's not really pulling the map in. Then on the very bottom you can see how there's a start button, so that would start our waypoint mission. So we'll have to try that in the park when we get out there. We'll click back here on the window of our FPV, so that's cool, very similar to DJI, how it's got this little guy here. Let's try to click on this little compass. There's on the top corner of the little map window, there's a compass. Wow, so cool. So there is a little compass there, just like DJI, and it shows us which direction the craft is facing. So that is working, but it looks like that's it. Kind of limited. I mean, there's not much to see. Let's go back into the settings here now that we have the craft connected, and let's just see some of the on-screen settings that we couldn't view when it wasn't connected. So we have virtual joystick setting, which is left and right hand. Beginner mode, of course. Voltage, so it's showing us the voltage is now current power 100%, and it's showing us the actual voltage. No smart cells here in the battery, so we're not going to see individual voltage. Again, all we have is the low power alarm. Let's try gyro calibration, since this is a pretty stable table. So I'm pressing gyro calibration, and I'm going to press OK. And let's see, saying please wait. Okay, should be calibrating. I don't want to move or shake the table. It's calibrating for level. Seems to be taking quite a bit longer than normal. I'm not sure why it's taking so long. It's been about 30 seconds. There we go. Calibrate success. Okay, so if you guys are wondering why that's taking so long, usually crafts take only about 5 to 10 seconds. This one looks like it takes like 30 seconds to calibrate the gyro. We're not going to do the compass here. We'll do the compass in the park. Oh, by the way too, since we have it on the table before we get out and fly, so something that's different than the DJI props is these don't twist lock. There's no fast way to take these off. You actually have to have an Allen wrench and take them off the motor with these 2 screws on the sides. One more thing, this guy down here, I forgot to touch on this, but it looked like it had a piece of glass across it, and it looked like an optical flow camera sensor, maybe. And I tried to clean it, and then it looked like it just got like the glass went away and got pushed inside or something. I think it might have been just a cosmetic cover to kind of like look like maybe it was, you know, some kind of optical bottom sensor or something. But I think that was just for cosmetic purposes. But we're going to test all that out right now, guys. I'll meet you over at the park, and we'll give this thing a thorough flight test. May even do a range test with this in the urban area, because this is touted to do 25 minutes of flight time. So we should have plenty of time to go through most of the settings. Something I should go over before I fly is not really liking this SD card insert setup. So you can see how initially I thought you put it in right here on this little notch here, this little slit, but you actually have to push up this lever, and at first it seemed kind of hard. It's kind of getting easier to do, but you can see how it's kind of an old style on how to put it in an SD card. You just put it like contacts down in there, and then you have this cage, this metal aluminum cage setting here that goes on top of it, and then you just have to push this little plastic cover down in. So pretty ancient kind of a thing there, but that's the way they're doing it. Anyway, here we go. So first thing we want to do is we want to turn on the controller. So I'm going to turn that guy on. Okay, so what you really need to remember is if you start up the drone and you're in like GPS mode, which is the center of the switch, it's going to beep at you like crazy, like it was with the red light and beeping. So you need to switch that down to apparently attitude mode, which is not in GPS mode first, and then switch back up to GPS mode, which is in the middle of that switch. Let's just do a compass calibration here while we're at it. You want to do this, please keep level rotation. Okay, so I'm looking at the phone here while I'm grabbing this thing, and all it's telling me is words on the screen. First turn done, please keep the head of the drone upward. Okay, rotate again. All right, there we go. Okay, so I'm not sure what that said. It looked like it was in red, so it might have failed, but failed, please turn slower. Okay, so recalibrate. All right, let's try that again. So I got to turn this thing slower. Looking at the phone. Wow, failed again, huh? All right, so you know what? I'm not getting any video, so I'm going to cancel the calibration. I'm going to try to start this thing up again, guys. This is how it's working for me, just being honest. And let's try to reboot, see if we can get our video back. Please select the model, start flying again. So, no SD card. Wow, really? I've got no video this time. Man, that's too bad. Are we getting video? That was weird. We got video for a second. Let's see if we can get this SD card to work, guys. So So just trying to, I'm not sure if I should be doing this while it's on, but I'm just doing it. And let's just try to clip that thing in there. See what happens. Drone is in remote control. Still saying no SD card. Wow, look at that. So our video is just totally screwed up. I have good control. I'm using the gimbal and everything. It's saying ready to go, but what's up with the video? All right, well, let's relaunch the app. Boy, frustrating with this cheap little Mavic copy. Start flying. And what's up now? Is it gonna work? There we go. Okay, I got video. So I guess if that happens, you see how I have video on the screen now. So if that happens, go ahead and reboot the app a couple times until you get your video correct. I'm gonna go into the Google Maps. No waypoint route planning, blah blah blah. A little bit of frustration. Let's see if we can pull in our maps. So we still can't pull in our maps. All right, well, it's saying there's 14 satellites, so I guess what we'll do is we'll just fly without using these other smart functions, which is unfortunate because that's part of the function that should be working. So a little bit frustrating. Every time we go back to the FPV screen, we're seeing that it's saying warning, drone is under remote control. So I don't need to see that every single time I go back to the FPV screen. But here we go. So it's saying drone is 100%. You can see some of the stuff on the top. It's saying we do have the SD card in now. What I want to do is I gotta do that compass cal, and I gotta make it successful. So we'll try another calibration. This time I'm gonna lift this thing up, stand up, and I'm gonna slowly rotate it. Okay, first one done. Let's see if it fails. All right, that time it looked like it was success, so maybe stand up with it. So there we go. We already did the gyro in the house. So we're gonna go back out of here. So it's a pretty decent app. It just needs a little bit of help, it seems. A little bit of updating and finesse. I'm gonna go ahead and take a picture. That took a picture again, and then we'll try to start recording. There we go. Okay, so apparently now it knows it has an SD card in there. We're gonna start in GPS position mode. In preparation, position. So a little bit of a delay when I'm switching this switch until it knows what to do. So I'm gonna try to switch it to the middle, and you see how it says in preparation there? So it needs a second to figure it out, and then we're ready to launch. So first thing we'll do is we'll launch, since we're already recording, we'll launch just from the app here. Drone is under remote control. Please do not instruct this operation. Okay, so that's pretty ridiculous. So we can't launch from the app. So apparently we have to launch from the controller if the controller is connected. So let's see what happens if we press this button. Press and hold. All right, well that was quick, wasn't it? That thing just lifted off in like 1 second. It didn't even wait for the propellers to really spin up. Wow, okay, so you see it hover there for a sec and then it just shot up on its own. I didn't do that. So keep aware of that there. So again, guys, it is kind of in the evening, and this is the gimbal. How's the gimbal doing? Let's see. Oh, it looks like we might be having a little bit of a gimbal rotation issue. Yeah, so if you turn, you're gonna need to wait a second until this gimbal kind of levels itself out a little bit. You see it kind of going left and right slightly. But anyway, that's the launch altitude. And you can see that apparently it doesn't really have an optical flow sensor on the bottom. It's just using a barometer apparently. So I haven't touched its position, the right stick from the home point. Oh wow, so I'm a little bit weird on the sticks. You see how it said mode 2, but if I push the left stick, it's going forward and back. So I don't want that. I want to change it to, I guess right hand. There's two options here. So I'm going to click on right hand and see if I get my normal control. Oh boy, nope. Oh man, that's unfortunate. So I want to have the throttle on my left. How the heck do I do that? Nope, I'm getting pitch on the left stick. Okay, so a little bit of a con there for me. I want my roll. I don't want my throttle on the right. I want my roll and my pitch. And man, is that the only way possible? Left hand, let's try this again. Oh man. That's really a bummer, guys. So I guess I've only got throttle on the right. Let me just try some of these functions here, some of these buttons. So I just pulled down the left button, still got throttle on the right. This button over here, we'll pull that down. Oh, now it's doing a return to home. Well, let's let it try just a little quick return to home and just see how accurate it is. So I switch this button down, and we can see that we have the readouts on the bottom of the screen there. We have distance from its home point. Man, it looks like it's already losing connection with the video. Look at that. Only at that high, just its return to home height. You see how the video just froze? Oh my gosh, this is kind of like Sim 2 Dragonfly all over again. I don't know if you guys remember that Sim 2 Dragonfly, but it had a really bad wireless connection. And there we go. So you see it land. So not bad. It's fairly close. Let's switch out of return to home. But look at my screen. This is frozen here. And I still have joysticks on the screen, even though I'm controlling it with the controller. So far, not so good, guys. I'm going to stop recording on the video. I had a vibration and a beep, but nothing's even happening on the screen. It's still ticking away the recording. So this one may be one to kind of avoid, honestly. You will not have this issue with anything DJI. This is just kind of a pretty lackluster copy here. So look at this. My screen is still frozen, so very frustrating. What do I need to do? Do I need to go out of the application? Let's try it. Let's go out of the app. Let's just make sure we're still connected. If we go back into our Wi-Fi, yeah, so we're still connected to the controller. Now what we'll do is we'll go back into CFly application, start flying. Let's see if it can even connect. Let's put this thing back. Well, you look at that. So it says no SD card again. Let's see if we do this. Turn off the controller. Turn the controller back on. Of course, we got to switch down to attitude mode because it doesn't like that in GPS mode to turn on. I don't know why. And let's try to connect to our Wi-Fi again one more time to the controller. See if we do it this way, if we can get connection, or if we have to shut off the whole drone again. Boy, quite disappointed at the moment with this one. I'm gonna give it one more chance though. Let's see if we can reconnect. Okay, everything booted up and the CFly controller reconnected. So we'll give it another chance and go back into drones. We'll go into the CFly app again. Now I haven't turned the drone off, but I have turned the controller off. So let's start flying this time. And we're still not connected. So when it gets out of range, which is apparently its return to home altitude, it will not reconnect. And that's unfortunately the exact same issues I was having with the Sim 2 Dragonfly. So we'll give it one more chance. We'll go ahead and shut this thing off. You know, usually these kind of cheap replicas, I had a feeling that it might have some problems like this, but I didn't think it was going to be this bad right away. We've already had issues with it seeing the SD card. I had to remount it. So kind of like a company just trying to get into the drone scene that's just making really cheap stuff. You guys need to see what these problems are being had with these kinds of drones, and I'm not one to hide those. So this is how it's working. So we're going to connect to the controller again. Obtaining IP address. Wow, can't even connect back to the controller. Talk about disappointment. What in the world? So, I don't know, should we just try to fly it with the phone? Whatever, let's just try it. Screw the controller. Throwing it over there, piece of garbage. And let's just try to connect to the drone. See how this works with just the phone. Okay, that was easy. It connected, no problem. We will go okay. Of course, we don't have any internet connection with the Wi-Fi because it's connected directly to the drone. We will go back into our drones. We'll go to C-Fly. And let's see what we can do with just the phone, because I have just given up with that controller. And there we go. So now it's saying battery up at the top right, not available. Okay. Drone is under remote controller control. Well, not really. It's under the phone control. So why the hell is it giving me this under remote controller control message there? That's false. At least it does see the SD card still. It's still saying it's full capacity, so apparently maybe it wasn't even recording. Go ahead and take a picture. Okay, pictures work. We'll start recording. What else can we do? Can we adjust our gimbal from this? I can't even adjust my gimbal from the phone. Why? I don't have any stick movement. Should I even launch this thing? I'm scared to even launch it. Well, let's just do it. Let's see. You know what? Let's go into the settings first. All right. Well, anyway, these are all the options I have. So pretty slim pickings there for any kind of options. Okay, that's how we change into our modes on the phone. You see how I hit the altitude up there? I'm going to switch it to position. Now let's see if it can do it. It still thinks it's under... What? It still thinks it's under remote control, which it's not. All right, so one more problem. I'm going to need to reboot one more time. Leave that controller off. Just connect it to the phone, and let's see if we can get this darn thing to work. Okay guys, last attempt here. Getting a little frustrated. Start flying. Is it going to work? Okay, in preparation. Now it's saying position mode. So I guess that's the way you got to do it. Don't try to change controller or phone when the thing's started up. Just go straight to one or the other when you're booting the thing up. So we're in position hold off the bat, it looks like, with just the phone. Let's take another picture. All right, we hear sound effect. Let's start recording the video, which started and then stopped. Now it started again. Okay, that was kind of weird. So we're in position hold. We want to leave it there because we want the GPS satellites to kind of help it maintain its position. Let's see what happens if we go ahead and launch. So I'm pressing launch, take off. Okay. I don't see how it's still 100% power. It's saying it's 100% still. So maybe the battery telemetry ain't that good. And that's what it does. It hovers there for a few seconds and then it shoots up to what it's saying is 5.4 meters apparently. And I should have these sticks on the screen. Let's see if it's still right-hand throttle. Nope, now it's left-hand throttle. Okay. And this is the way I want to control it. Okay, good. Whoa, and look at this. So we're getting the toilet bowl effect right away, guys. Whoa, and it's starting to almost, yeah, it's starting to fly away. So we need to get back here quick. And we need to return to home or something because it's just flying all over the place. Oh, it's going down. It's gonna hit the fence. Return to home. It's going over in the trees. It's going over in the trees. there it goes. It just nailed the trees. So this is a piece of garbage. Don't even try to buy this thing or fly it. Anyway, let me go get it, and luckily there wasn't anybody around in the park right now. Let me go get it and assess the damage. Maybe we'll try one more launch, because that was just ridiculous. Okay, so I'm already seeing some damage walking up on it. Poor little sea fly. Well, there it is. It broke an arm because it ran into a tree and I couldn't control it. But look at that. So that's gonna do it for us, guys. The left front arm just cracked off because it nailed that tree pretty hard. It looks like the back ones actually have a little bit more resilience because they can kind of bend and move around. It looks like the battery, look at that. So it popped out, luckily, which helped it turn off. I'm not sure if it would have been kept going with its propellers and just spinning like crazy. Oh, we lost an SD card. Shucks. So look at that. So this thing popped open. So it looks like if you crash, your SD card thing will pop open as well. So I'm going to need to look for that too. Oh man, this is just a bundle of joy, isn't it? But I guess that's going to do it. Let me look for that SD card and then I'll pop back in and do kind of a pros and cons. But I think you guys can pretty much tell what's going on with this one. Man, that is a bummer. You know, I should have gone with my gut instinct and used my 16 gig card, but I used a 64 gig, one of my older cards, because this thing says it can only do 1080 at like 25 frames per second, which is pretty substandard in these days. But man, so I hit this tree and that card just flew out somewhere, and I doubt I'll find it, but it's worth a little look around at least. Alright guys, so what can we say about the C-Fly Obtain except for don't buy it? Sorry it's kind of dark, but I've been looking for that SD card for about 20 minutes and I just couldn't find it over there. It's somewhere lost in the grass. So unfortunately, like my gut instinct said, this is just, don't even bother thinking about buying this thing. Just being honest here guys, sorry. If some of you like this, or if anybody's thinking about buying this and is having a good time with it, but you could see, I mean, the proof is in the pudding. You could see my video, did the calibrations correctly, and this isn't my first rodeo with these kinds of drones. I've done a lot of drone reviews, and this one just does not stand up to any kind of standard whatsoever. You can see that what happened here is it hit the tree with this arm. Looks like it kind of broke where the motor mounts up to the arm right away, flew down, and then when it hit the ground, it just broke this whole arm off. Probably salvageable if maybe you put these electronics into another frame or get a new frame for this thing. I'm really pissed that I lost my 64 gigabyte card because this thing just popped open when it hit the ground. First of all, I couldn't get it to work with a controller. Just all kinds of problems connecting, in and out of connection. The first time I got it to work, it went into a return to home. Remember when I flipped that switch? Because of course the switches aren't labeled. Another problem there. So I flipped that switch, it went into return to home. When it got up to its height, it lost its own connection. The video froze, it continued to come down. Not bad, it landed, you know, within a few feet of the home point, but then it wouldn't reconnect. The video was just frozen. Of course, you could still fly it, it seemed line of sight. But same problems I was having with, remember that Sim2 Dragonfly drone? I thought it was going to be good, a cheap alternative to some of the other drones out there, and it just falls way short. Not even in the radar to even waste your money on it. And this thing is not that cheap. This is like $300 to $400, maybe even a little more if you get the package with the controller. So really you're better off just getting like something like the Spark for around 400 bucks, the DJI Spark. I don't know what this one, and then remember, so then I gave up on the controller. Then I went straight to the cell phone, got it to work, launched, started toilet bowling. That's a surefire sign of something's wrong with interference in the craft, with the compass, and the GPS just was not working properly. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to show you the on-drone footage because I lost that micro SD card, but luckily I did record the phone, so you'll be able to see what was happening, how many satellites I had, when it was doing that toilet bowl, and then it just went, it just started going off. That's the first time I've actually ever had that bad of a flyaway happen on me. I tried to take over manual control. Everything was screwed up because as I was flying, it was still thinking something was wrong, and it was trying to pull back in certain directions when I let off the stick. It's like the GPS just totally quit and was going in one direction. So this is really the first time that something weird like that, this bad, has ever happened to me. I've had with a few other drones slightly happen, but nowhere near this weird and this bad. So stay away from this one, guys. As a last ditch effort, I tried to hit the return to home on the app on my phone. That's after I kind of gave up trying to save it. It was already kind of in the trees, and then I just couldn't see it anymore with my eyes for correct orientation, and that's when it just hit that tree and fell to the ground. And this also, I guess, another crash test too, for the durability on this thing. So not very durable. It was just slightly hovering when it hit that tree. I want to say it was about maybe 10 feet up, because I was right over the path over there. Really lucky that there wasn't any people walking around there. So again, if you're, you know, reviewing like me and testing drones that you've never flown before, really make sure that there's nobody around. There's nobody at the park right now because it's in the evening. You can see the sun setting. Also a crash test, so if anything, this thing got a super bad review, don't buy it. And also you can see how durable it is. It's just going to break apart in its first crash into a tree at about 10 feet high. So just stay away from this one, guys. Anyways, thanks for watching again. This one gets a total fail for me. You know, as I mentioned many times already, just stay away from it. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks for watching.